Well, here we are. Sleep is overrated. It is November 6th, the day after the night before, and at least half of the country is grieving, and all of their children who haven't yet enjoyed or secured the right to vote or imagined that there's privilege attached to that. In the Go Forward plan, I want to remind you of two things. One, you cannot think and feel at the same time. So please don't try to bypass any of the 5 stages of grief in the process, because all it will do is throw you into a cycle. Those 5 stages are: first, denial. Oh no, this can't be happening. It's a red mirage. Oh no, this can't be happening. They haven't counted all the votes. Oh no, it's the Electoral College, but she'll still get the popular vote. None of that turned out to be true. The illusion that one voice, one vote could make a difference is shattering to my white bubble. So we breathe and we come out of denial. And the next stage, and these stages don't necessarily go in order, but you will have to process all of them before you get to acceptance. So while I see people saying, move to acceptance, move to action, no, you fucking don't. No, you don't. You feel as much as you need to feel, as long as you need to feel, because the grieving process doesn't care what the loss is. The physical reality is there is processing, release before relief. And we all want relief, but we imagine that we could muscle our way into it, and we can't. The only way out of this is through it. And the only way out of a feeling is through it. And so one of those stages is anger. And there's going to be more finger pointing now than there was before, because all of our worst fears came true. Our country men and women did not do the thing we expected that they would do, which we deemed at some point was the right thing. So many lessons here. I'm going to process in real time the lessons I'm learning, what I know about the grief process, and share with you. And hopefully you'll find some comfort, some compassion, some control in the process, because certainly I do my best work when I'm doing it for me, and you can come along for the ride if you want. So, and oh, by the way, I have a cold. That doesn't help. So anger. The next stage is bargaining. And here's what bargaining looks like in this election cycle in my brain. Maybe they miscounted. Well, now that's already been secured. It's now 7 a.m. Eastern time. So no, it's a done deal. This is real. It's not going to change back. And because I know that our party embraces democracy, which is what this was. I don't love the outcome all the time, but it is what it was. And because we believe it was a free and fair election, if Kamala had won, then we must believe it was a free and fair election if Trump won. That's just a sad truth in my world. So bargaining means maybe Dark Brandon has something up his sleeve. Maybe what the Supreme Court put in place allows him to get, muster some different resources. Maybe they've already been thinking about this eventuality, and there are some plans in place. Maybe Trump will be sentenced and won't be able to serve. But if that happens, then we have J.D. Vance. That's no better. Okay. So none of that really helps my nervous system. But bargaining is what we do. And every time we come up to a bargain and it breaks, we have to go back through the cycle of denial and then anger. And then watch that finger pointing, because if I'm pointing one finger at you, I've got 4 pointing back at me. Projection, projection, projection is real. And then the 4th stage, when all of our bargaining doesn't work, when January 20th or 21st, whatever day it is, happens, and the new president is sworn in, we're along for the ride. All right. So that's when depression hits. Depression hits when you take that gut punch and you stop trying to talk yourself out of it, force yourself out of it, medicate yourself out of it. Watch the eating and the drinking and the drugging during this time. That is not going to solve your problem. Trust me, I've been there. There is more wrong here than a Snickers is going to cure. And then we get to the stage of acceptance, and acceptance is not suck it up and walk through it. Acceptance is a state of neutrality, safe and protected. We get back to seeing that this may not be our lesson to learn. This is somebody else's lesson, and we get to be observers. We understand that that white bubble of proximity to power that I thought kept me safe does not. That was an illusion. And we have to come to terms with all the other bullshit things we've believed in my 60 plus years of life on this planet, in this country, saying this is the way, this is who we are as American people. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. We are, first of all, survivors. And that's part of why the anger stage of the grief process is so dangerous and so compelling, because when you are trying not to feel depressed, you're going to act in, then you're going to be angry and you're going to act out. Watch for acting out, watch for acting in. Just keep telling the truth every day. And in the meantime, life does go on. And you still, one of the things women are really good at, and it doesn't matter your color, one of the things we're really good being good at is suit up and show up and do the next right thing. The next right thing might be about survival. The next right thing might be about self-care. The next right thing might be about not trying to revert to your white bubble, which is what I'm going to do, not revert. And instead of stepping away from the fray, lean in. Risky? Absolutely. Necessary? Yeah. We're putting a wrap on season 1 of One Voice Evolving. As I shared yesterday, the last year brought me into the racial equity realm. And then the election happened, and I took 10 weeks to begin to meld those two things of racial equity and the election cycle and the candidates and moving with compassion for everybody. And now, breathe. And now it's the day after, and life goes on. And so in the day after, we're going to start season 2 of One Voice Evolving with a reflection on all of our guests from the first 22 episodes. And we're going to bring some of those guests back in to revisit a post-election era of how do we advance racial equity in our lifetime in spite of, because of, in love of, in support of, not the status quo, but the same thing that drove us to the polls in the first place are going to drive us to continue to be seen and to not fall back. Black women who are raising children are at risk. They're at risk. Black men in this country are at risk. I can only imagine how emboldened some of the attacks are going to be if we don't stand in the gap, whether you think of that spiritually, metaphorically, or physically. We of this skin color have an opportunity and an obligation to stay engaged and stand in the gap. OneVoiceEvolving.com. I look for us on YouTube. That's where I'm going to be doing this next series. I'm going to do a teaching series actually on the grief process, on how to feel your feelings and how to stay engaged. This is not the time to fall back. This is not the time to fall on your sword. This is the time to lean in and support each other more than ever. I love you. Happy Wednesday.